Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series with your 2032 NL West Division champion, Colorado Rockies. And it was much more than a mere divisional championship for the Rockies this year. With 116 wins and 46 losses, we tied the 1906 Chicago Cubs and the 2001 Seattle Mariners for the most wins in a major league season. Won the division by 26 games over the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's been a very good run for our Colorado Rockies here. Seventh consecutive playoff appearance in the 8 years of this playthrough. We've won the first 4 division titles in franchise history, including 3 in a row at this point. We've also had the best record 3 consecutive seasons in all of baseball. And we've been in the last 2 World Series, winning the first World Series championship in Rockies history last season. So we will be going for a repeat this year. Unfortunately, coming off of a season that's been seen only twice in nearly 160 years of Major League Baseball history, doesn't have the fans all that excited. Even though we were selling out every game over the last couple months of the season, our fan interest actually declined a couple of points during the second half of the year. Still strong at 88, but hard to understand exactly what these fans in Colorado want to make them more interested in our team, given that we've just had an historically successful regular season. And despite that historically successful regular season, everything is not perfect for our Rockies as we get ready for the postseason to begin. When we broke spring training, we had a very well-balanced bullpen with 4 left-handers and 4 right-handers. Unfortunately, injuries have taken 3 of our bullpen southpaws off of the team. Dave Seibrecht, who made the team as a Rule 5 acquisition from this past offseason, pitched just 2 games before his rotator cuff was torn. He was done for the year. Drew Summers, who's been a good, solid reliever for us for the past several seasons, literally got hurt on August 1st with a torn triceps the day after the trade deadline. And then most importantly, Luke Little, setup man for us throughout a very successful season, was hurt literally the final week of the season with elbow inflammation on September 27th. So unfortunately, 3 lefties that should be in our bullpen are no longer there. And those aren't even the biggest losses we're dealing with, because our cleanup hitter, Gus Nieves, who in 5 major league seasons has led the National League in home runs and runs batted in 3 times, broken kneecap suffered almost a month ago, ended his season with 33 homers, 91 ribbies, and a 136 WRC plus. So when we think about what our pitching staff looks like, we only have 1 lefty in the rotation, and certainly the top of our rotation with Noah Schultz, Leo Martinez, and Dylan Jordan is likely as productive and good as anybody's in baseball, and Andrew Painter is a pretty solid number 4 starter. But with Schultz being the only lefty, felt like that 4 lefties and 4 righties in the pen when we came out of spring training gave us some good optionality. You figure if a righty's starting, bring in a lefty middle reliever, setup man, switch to a right-hander in the later innings, and then finish things off with lefty closer Wellington Herrera, and really make the team make some decisions, try to use their bench early. Unfortunately, at this point, the only lefty we have left in the bullpen is Wellington Herrera, our closer. So outside of games where Noah Schultz starts, people are going to have their right-handed pinch hitters and platoon players on the bench and waiting to try to take advantage of Mr. Herrera in the late innings. Justin Gibson is going to be our stopper for the playoffs. Will also serve in a setup role. And then Bill Douglas, the only other guy that we're going to have a setup role for. Ryan Featherston in middle relief, Kumar Rocker, Isaiah Shader, and Braden Nett, who have all been successful starters for us at points over the last several seasons, will be working in middle relief. And James Embry will be our long reliever, the former second-round draft pick. Makes the playoff roster despite a 5.53 earned run average, given that we do have 4 pitchers on the IL right now who would all be ranked ahead of him if we had a choice in the matter as far as who would make this roster. Lineup-wise, with the departure of Nieves, that means that Christian Arguelles will be playing left field for us. Ted Miller moves to DH, so that tightens up the defense a little bit. Against left-handed pitching, that means that Sam Gray, who came up late in the season and was not productive, only 1 for 11, is going to be starting for us against left-handed pitching. Despite his lack of experience, we also did make one other move. We put Ted Miller into the lineup against left-handed pitching, pulled center fielder Dean West out of the lineup against left-handed pitching, and pivoted Kevin Roberts, our all-world young outfielder, into center field against left-handed pitching. So hoping that we've tightened up our defense a bit and we can win with defense and pitching as these playoffs get underway, given that we are missing a crucial bat in the middle of our lineup, as well as, I noted, 3 important left-handed pitchers and Ian Miller, the right-hander, who was supposed to be an important arm for us this year as well. Taking a look at the playoff matchups, we will be facing off against the winner of the Pirates and our division rival Dodgers. The Marlins and the Brewers will be facing each other to see who can face the Nationals, who had the second-best record in the National League. Actually, the second-best record among a division winner. I think the Dodgers actually had the second-best record in the league. The Yankees and the White Sox facing off to get a chance at the Tigers, and the Royals facing off against the Mariners to get a chance at the Tampa Bay Rays. And the wild card rounds are over. The White Sox swept the Yankees. They'll get to face their division rival Tigers. And the Royals took out the Mariners. They'll get to face the Tampa Bay Rays. So a strong performance from the American League Central, with 3 of the final 4 teams alive in the AL playoffs. The Dodgers took out the Pirates in 3 games, so we'll face our divisional rivals. And the Brewers swept the Marlins, so they'll get a shot at the Nationals in their divisional series. And I mentioned that the 90-win Dodgers had the second most wins in the National League, but they still finished 26 games behind us in the standings. We were dominant against the Dodgers and their massive payroll, going 15-4 against our division rivals this year. We were first in the National League in runs scored, first in the National League in runs against. The Dodgers, middle-of-the-pack offense, ranking 7th, but a good pitching staff, ranking 4th in the league in runs against. We have our ace, who we signed to a big contract last offseason, on the mound. Noah Schultz did everything we could have hoped. 17-2 record, a league best 2.48 ERA, a league best 0.91 whip. 2/3 of his starts were quality starts, put up a 5.6 WAR for us. The only negative thing we can say is that his injury proneness has flipped to fragile, and he really didn't have any significant injuries this year. Mild shoulder inflammation that impacted him for 5 days, and then a tired arm, so he must have just been very borderline normal in terms of his injury proneness, and now he is fragile physically. He will be going up against Roki Sasaki, now 30 years old for the Dodgers, 7-13 record with an ERA of just over 4, but he did have a WAR of 4 this year, so a pretty solid right-handed pitcher on the mound against our ace lefty as we try to get this postseason off to a good start. Looking to win 11 more games, which would mean if we can do that over the course of this month of October, we will be back-to-back World Series champions. And we did get the win in game number 1, but unfortunately, Drew Romo, our outstanding catcher, is going to be day-to-day with back tightness. That is not optimal given our weakness at catcher. Minimal impact on hitting and throwing, moderate impact on his running. So that was certainly not optimal, but we'll need to deal with that for the time being. 5-1 victory in game number 1, the lone home run for the Dodgers. Ching-Sin Ko with a solo shot. We got a home run from Christian Arguelles, so guy who's only in the lineup because of the injury to Gus Nieves comes through in game number 1 for us. The Dodgers actually took a 1-0 lead on us on that solo homer by Ko, but in the third inning, 3-run homer by Arguelles, and then a run-scoring double by Romo added one of the 2 insurance runs in the bottom of the 7th. Schultz, 6 hits, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts over 5 1/3 innings. Douglas, Gibson, and Isaiah Shader combined for the final 3 2/3 innings of scoreless work by our team. Long game took 3 hours and 44 minutes. A bit surprising for a 5-1 game, but apparently there's a lot of throwing over to first and a lot of thinking about pitches despite the pitch clock in the playoffs, which is why the time of the game perhaps was so high, even though it was only a 9-inning game and not particularly high scoring. So the health situation with Romo, certainly not optimal. I think probably see what he does in game number 2. Oh, and it looks like they actually did not start Sasaki. He might have been on short rest. They actually started Jordy Vargas, so that may have worked in our favor. Looking at Sasaki, yeah, he would have been on short rest yesterday, so they decided to push him back. So probably a smart move for the Dodgers, but we'll take the opportunity to get off to a 1-0 start. So Sasaki on the mound today. We've got our excellent young right-hander, Leo Martinez, 16-6 record with a 2.57 ERA, 201 strikeouts this year. I think this is the craziest stat you could hope for. He led the National League in the fewest home runs per 9 innings, which for a pitcher pitching half of his games in Colorado is pretty impressive. He put up a 6.1 WAR on the season. So a couple of outstanding righties going here in game number 2. And unfortunately for us, the Dodgers have even the series behind Sasaki. Looks like a rough outing for Martinez, who was excellent in the playoffs for us a year ago. They jumped out early again, the top of the second, 2-run single by Zach Neto. The big blow as they scored 3 runs. Romo with another run-scoring double in the bottom of the second, and then Tovar brought him home, presumably. But 2 runs for the Dodgers in the 4th, 2 more in the 6th, and it was a relatively easy victory for Los Angeles. Martinez, 5 earned runs over 5 innings, allowed 7 hits, so a rough outing for him. Braden Nett, not good out of the bullpen either. Kumar Rocker gave us solid relief over the final 2 1/3 innings, but too little too late at that point. Sasaki gets the W, 2 earned runs over 6 1/3 innings in a quality start for the veteran. And because the Dodgers had to go through 3 full games to win their wild card series against the Pirates, they finally have their ace on the mound. Mr. Yamamoto, 13-5 record, but led the league with 263 strikeouts, 11.6 strikeouts per 9. 6.1 strikeout to walk ratio, a 64 FIP minus, and a 6.8 WAR. I think it's very possible that we may have in Schultz, Martinez, and Jordan three of the top four vote getters for the National League Cy Young Award, but it's very possible that Yamamoto will end up winning that award. We've got a good one on the mound for us today, though, in Dylan Jordan, 18-5 record. The 18 wins was the most in the National League. 2.83 ERA and 215 strikeouts with a 5.3 WAR. So a couple of big-time pitchers on the mound today. Obviously, we've got to get one of these next two in Los Angeles to potentially set ourselves up for a deciding Game 5 at home. And unfortunately, we're now facing an elimination game after losing 4-0. So 15-4 record against the Dodgers in the regular season has not meant much in the playoffs, and they are up 2-1 on us in the series. Yamamoto obviously outpitched Jordan, only 4 hits on the day for our Colorado Rockies. Tovar, Stone, Roberts Jr., and Marcelo Meyer with the lone hits. 2 doubles, Roberts Jr. and Tovar among them in the first inning and the 9th inning, but not a lot of positives. Jordan, 7 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, allowed 3 earned runs over 5 2/3. Yamamoto was dominant, 3 hits, a walk, and 6 strikeouts over 7 innings. Joan Duran pitched 2 innings, allowed just 1 hit. And our Colorado Rockies are now facing elimination here after a magical regular season. Things have taken a dark turn here in the National League Divisional Series. So game number 4 of the series, we have Andrew Painter on the mound. The right-hander has won 12 games for us 2 straight years, 12-10 with a 4.02 ERA, 2.9 WAR for the 29-year-old. Mr. Imanaga on the mound for the Dodgers, now 39 years old. Every game that he pitches could be his last, as he announced he'll be retiring at the end of this season. He split the year between Cincinnati and the Dodgers. Dodgers picked him up right before the trade deadline. He was 0-5 working out of the pen for the Reds with a 3.89 ERA. Ended up starting 6 of the 16 games he pitched for the Dodgers. 2-3 record with a 5.70 ERA for the lefty. Still his good control, but certainly his stuff and the movement on his pitches aren't particularly impressive. Would hope that we can win this game, and unfortunately if we don't, our season will be over. And the season is over for our defending World Series champion Colorado Rockies, who had an absolutely historic regular season, blown out by the Dodgers in the playoffs. The Dodgers beat us just 4 times in 19 games in the regular season, but they beat us 3 times in 5 days in the postseason, and the Dodgers are moving on to the National League Championship Series. 6-4 loss today. Imanaga with the win, Duran with the save. Painter took the loss. We did get home runs from Marcelo Meyer and the youngster Rosnal DePaula, but not enough offense, and the pitching was certainly not as good for our Rockies as it has been through much of this season. Dodgers took a 1-0 lead in the second, and then erupted for 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th. Run-scoring single from Lawler and Grant, a couple of the big blows, and then a RBI double from Zach Neto as well. Drew Romo, a lot of doubles in the series despite his injuries, but rough day and a rough series for our Colorado Rockies. The youngster Sam Gray, 2 for 3, so he's got more hits in one game in his postseason career than he does in his entire major league career at this point. So he was not the problem for us. getting to make his playoff debut. Kevin Roberts, who was so great a year ago, winning the NLCS and the World Series MVP awards as a rookie, hit just a $118 in the playoffs, and very disappointing. Painter allowed 6 hits, 3 walks, 5 earned runs over 4 2/3 innings. So 2 years ago he was awful for us in the playoffs. Last year he helped redeem himself by helping pinch us to a title, but one rough outing for him this year. Net, Rocker, and Shader combined to pitch the final 3 2/3 innings, because obviously the Dodgers didn't need to bat in the bottom of the 9th. So Net also suffered an injury, pending shoulder injury, so that may be something that impacts him next year, although he's headed to free agency anyways. So if he's going to have a significant injury, not the worst timing from our perspective. But when all was said and done, a very disappointing end to what was a magical regular season for our Colorado Rockies, but that magical season quickly turned into a nightmare against our division rival Dodgers in the playoffs. And to add insult to injury, despite by far having the best record in all of baseball, we were the only team with a first-round bye that did not win. The Tigers took out the White Sox, the Rays took out the Royals, and the Nationals took out the Brewers. So 3 divisional champions still around, and the Dodgers, of course, a second-place wild card team from the National League West that took out our Rockies and will be facing off against the Nats in the National League Championship Series. And with our disappointing and early exit from the playoffs, we'll do some different things now, because I don't want this to be too short of an episode. When we have a very short playoff episode, it's pretty obvious from the start that we either got eliminated very early, or perhaps we're doing the playoffs as a multi-episode series. But unfortunately, scenario 1 was what happened this year. Some of the top hitting prospects in baseball, one who has really exploded onto the scene in a way similar to our Kevin Roberts Jr. is Jose Estran, the 22-year-old shortstop for the White Sox, international free agent signing from back in 2028. And he had a monster first full season in the majors this year, led the American League with 109 runs, 189 hits, 54 doubles, a .363 batting average, also led the league in on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, a 192 WRC plus, and a 9.3 batter WAR. Would have to think that the young Nims Estran is a very strong candidate for American League Most Valuable Player. Jose Ibarra, the number 28 prospect in baseball, and he was traded to the White Sox organization. That's very interesting to see for a top prospect. He was signed for the full $5.7 million bonus back in 2030 by the A's, and he was traded along with Liam Hendricks, the 43-year-old veteran pitcher, for second baseman Caleb Bonham. I can't say that I really understand why the A's made that trade, and then only months later they waived him and he ended up with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So pretty good-looking trade for the White Sox organization to get Jose Ibarra. Started this year in rookie ball, where he went 7 for 20, and then was promoted to A, where he hit .266, 27 doubles, 2 triples, and 7 homers in 338 at-bats. We still think he's got a very high ceiling. David Mireles, IAFA signing from almost 2 years ago at this point. Hit 434 in 136 at-bats in rookie ball for the Giants organization, and then 311 in 61 at-bats in A-ball towards the end of the season. So pretty impressive performance for an 18-year-old being that productive in A-ball. Omer Gallo, IAFA signing from 2030, another guy who split the year between rookie ball and A-ball. Pretty productive at both levels. 286 average, but a 875 OPS in rookie ball, and he was more of a league average type player in A-ball. But again, at 19 years old, that's still not bad at all. Ricardo Navarro, IAFA signing from 2031, 282 average with 12 extra base hits and 177 at-bats in the DSL for the dude. 7 home runs, power, and his ability to draw walks were the big attractions of the dude back when we thought about potentially bringing him on board. Bob Smith, a first-round pick this year, 3 years after he was a first-round pick that didn't sign with the Mets, I believe. Played in the draft league after getting out of Cal State University San Bernardino, hit 212 in 85 at-bats. So he's got some work to do. 22 years old. You would hope that he's on the fast track for the Blue Jays. John Bentley, a left fielder who was picked 36th overall in the 2029 draft. Split this year between A-ball and high A-ball, where he hit about 300 combined between the two levels, and then he did play one game in Double-A at the age of 22, went 1 for 6 with a double, but did strike out 4 times. Rowdy Richard, the left fielder, does look like he could still be a interesting major league bat if he reaches his full potential. Jonathan Pera, left-handed hitting outfielder for the Reds organization. You may remember we actually picked him in the Rule 5 draft, I believe a couple of years ago. Didn't end up making our roster. Did make his major league debut this year, hit 317 and 388 at-bats in AAA Louisville, and hit 340, went 17 for 50 when he was promoted to Cincinnati at the end of the year. Have a hunch they probably will not be leaving him unprotected in the Rule 5 draft anytime soon. CJ Sampson, potential two-way player, back in the majors this year, 7-9 record with a 4.88 ERA, pitched 29 games, all starts for the Giants. Batting-wise, hit just a $158 in 101 at-bats. So it looks like Sampson definitely has done more as a pitcher than he has at a hitter at this point. Still looks like he could be a borderline useful major league bat if he reaches his full potential, but he's been a pretty solid pitcher over the past few years for the Giants. Was the 16th overall pick in 2026. Ryan Westcott, the first baseman up in AAA this year for Memphis, hit 301 in 429 at-bats. Also did make his major league debut for the Cardinals, hit 208 in 101 at-bats for the big club. He was the 27th overall pick in the 2027 draft. The first baseman looks like he could be a useful-ish major league hitter, but probably not a big-time player given that he doesn't bring much to the table besides a slightly above-average bat. Troy Dufer, a shortstop who was the 36th overall pick in 2030, a guy who had a pretty good glove and a good contact bat that we were intrigued by. Hit 319 in 166 rookie league at-bats before being promoted to A-ball, where he hit 330 in 200 at-bats. So he'll be 23 next season. Would think that he'll probably be starting the year in high A or perhaps even double A based on his performance this past year and his age. Last but not least, Carlos Restrepo, 22-year-old IAFA signing from 2027. Spent the entire year in high A ball where he hit just 234. Doesn't look like he's going to end up being a major league hitter, and his glove does not appear that it's going to be special enough for him to have much of a major league career. Turning to some pitching prospects, Sergio Alvarado, recovering from a torn labrum, suffered just at the start of this year. He was 3-2 with a 5.57 in ERA as he made the jump from A ball all the way to AAA in the Pirates organization. The IAFA signing from 2027 still listed as the number 32 prospect in baseball. But at 22 years old, he's already fragile physically, still has that low work ethic. I think he can definitely hit 100 miles an hour on the radar gun, and his profile suggests that he could still be a pretty good major league pitcher if he reaches his full potential. Phil Davidson is a guy that we were hoping would fall to us in the second round of the draft this year. Did not end up doing that. The 18-year-old high schooler was signed after the ACL seasons were complete. So he is preparing to make his major league his professional debut next year. Starting pitcher Matt Stream was picked 41st overall last year in 2031. 2-1 with a 2.78 ERA in 9 starts in rookie ball, and then 1-0 with a 2.08 ERA in 3 starts for the Delmarva Shorebirds in the Carolina League. Still looks like a pretty interesting potential prospect, but he's certainly got a lot of work to do to become a major leaguer. Victor Esquivel, picked 30th overall in 2030. Another guy who split the year between rookie ball and A ball. He was not nearly as effective. 1-4 record with an ERA of close to 8 in rookie ball. Did go 1-0 in A ball, but his ERA was over 10, and he allowed 13 hits and 7 walks over just 8 2/3 innings. Still is a profile that suggests if he maxes out, he could be a useful major league starter. But a lot of work for the soon-to-be 21-year-old lefty to get there. Mario Garza, IAFA signing from 2038, is a guy that looks like, at least according to the Mariners organization, they're still targeting him as a bullpen player. 30 stamina, only 2 pitches, fragile in terms of his injury proneness. 2-3 record with 11 saves and an ERA of just over 4 in A ball. And went 0-5 with 7 saves in high A ball with an ERA in the low 4s. So it was not a particularly impressive season, but he was 20 years old, splitting the year between A and high A, so still on a pretty good trajectory as far as his development. Already talked about C.J. Sampson, who's a proven major leaguer for San Francisco at this point. Probably won't talk about him going forward. Miguel Peralez, IAFA signing from 2030, split the year between 2 rookie league clubs and A ball for the Mets organization. 1-1 with an ERA of 3 over 5 games, 4 starts for the St. Lucie Mets. Great personality. Still looks like he could be a useful 4th or 5th starter at the major league level if all goes well with his development. Oscar Perez is a guy who was a incredible looking prospect. I believe he was a IAFA signing several years ago. IAFA in the first IAFA pool we had in 2026. Some personality quirks, but the 23-year-old can reach triple digits on the radar gun. Stuff looks incredible. The movement and control both a bit below average. Had a 0 ERA in 5 appearances in AAA, and then at the major leagues, 3-7 record with 13 saves, ERA of 4.59 over 68 2/3 innings. The good news is he struck out almost 10 batters per 9 innings. The bad news is that even doing that, his strikeout to walk ratio was only 2.0 with 37 walks over 68 and 2/3 innings. And last, but well, I guess least among these pitchers, 25-year-old Cruz Schoolcraft pitched in AA, AAA, and the majors for Baltimore this year. Allowed no hits, walking only 2 over 7 1/3 innings in Baltimore this year. He started 3 games for the Orioles a year ago as well, so Schoolcraft looks like he could be a useful major league pitcher, but perhaps not dominant. It looks like they're not even viewing him as a two-way player anymore. Although he did have at-bats in both AA and AAA this past year, although he's never had a plate appearance in the majors at this point. So as we think about the development of the prospects, some of them still look like they're on the trajectory towards potential Hall of Fame careers. Some of them look like they might be lucky misses by us, although certainly every player that we signed or picked as an alternative to some of these guys has not necessarily been successful for us either. And we finally gotten our injury report on Braden Nett, out with a strained shoulder for 5 weeks. Obviously does not matter to us at this point because we are out of the playoffs, but it does make him potentially signable if we decided we wanted to try to bring him back next year. And it will be the Detroit Tigers facing off against the Washington Nationals in the World Series. The Nationals took out the Dodgers in 6 games, and the Tigers swept the Rays out of the playoffs in 4 games in the American League Championship Series. And before we move on a week or so to find out who won the World Series this year, we'll check in and do our annual end-of-season review of our farm system. The system ranks 5th out of 30 in the majors right now, so a pretty good farm system. We ended up having 4 first-place teams this year. Every team had a winning record. Dan Patterson, second-round pick from a year ago, is still listed as the top prospect in our organization. Number 20 prospect in baseball, but a 2-3 record with an ERA of close to 6 in his first 11 career professional starts in rookie ball for us. He's going to be 20 years old by the time next season starts. Based on his performance, probably going to be starting the year in the rookie league once again, but would hope that perhaps we can move up to A-ball. Scout sees him being a slightly above average major league talent if he reaches his full potential. I think the stuff could still be pretty interesting. The movement and control somewhat more average. Really good stamina and still a positive personality. But at this point, the OSA is much higher on his potential than our scout is. Phil Dingwell, who was a first-round pick of ours in 2030, the number 25 prospect in baseball, hit .313 in 150 at-bats in rookie ball, and then he was very productive in about a month and a half in A-ball, hitting .339 in 109 at-bats. The 20-year-old still looks like he could be a pretty interesting offensive player, another outfielder, corner outfield type that we could have in the mix in the next few years. Extreme development risk with him, but still see him having a pretty high ceiling, and hopefully Mr. Dingwell can continue to hit well and eventually become a useful major leaguer for us. Hendrik Jan van Gorkum, IAFA signing from a little less than 2 years ago, the number 40 prospect in baseball. He hit .318 with 18 extra base hits in 211 at-bats in the DSL for us. Still looks like a pretty interesting potential glove. The question is how good his bat is ultimately going to be. A guy who does have extreme development risk. Certainly a lot of different outcomes with him. Could see him becoming a very good major league player. Could also see him being someone who because of offensive limitations and not a ton of speed, struggles to make a major league roster. Derby Mahez, first round pick of ours 2 years ago in 2030, the number 42 prospect in baseball, did very well, hitting over 300 and 159 at-bats in Double-A. Hit .292 with 18 doubles and 10 home runs in 233 Triple-A at-bats. Currently playing in the draft league where he's hitting just .234, but he does have 7 extra base hits in 13 games. Good personality, good speed, good glove. The question with Mahez is how good is his bat ultimately going to be, and we'll likely try to get him into the development lab once the season ends. As I mentioned, he's doing well in the Arizona Fall League with the Salt River Rafters. Our fifth and final top 50 prospect is Brian Stoops. We promoted him to AAA at the end of last year, where he went 0-5 with a 6.75 ERA. So although he did well in high A and Double-A last year, definitely struggled in AAA. He is in the Arizona Fall League right now, 0-1 with an 8.38 ERA in 2 starts. Still think if he reaches his full potential, he could be a very interesting pitcher for us. But he's definitely got more work to do, and he's going to be 24 years old come February. Outside of the 5 top 50 prospects, we've got 2 others in the top 100. Kikau Kawakami, scouting discovery back in 2029, the number 52 prospect in baseball, 3-1 with a sub-4 ERA and 12.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, is a 19-year-old in the DSL. He'll likely be competing for a spot in A-ball next spring. And Jose Ramirez, you may remember him, IAFA signing from 2029, is viewed as the number 90 prospect in baseball. Busy year for him this year. Started the year with our ACL team where he went 6-1 with a 3.50 ERA. Made 2 starts for our DSL team with a 3.12 ERA, and then had some injury issues. We promoted him up to A-ball towards the end of the year. Definitely not as successful there. 0-1 with an ERA of over 9 in an admittedly small sample size of just 14 1/3 innings. Going to need that changeup to continue improving to become a potential major league pitcher. But still a guy who, if he reaches his full potential, looks like he could be a pretty useful starter for us. So the walking man still making some progress in his career. We also have 3 prospects ranked between 101 and 200. I don't understand why Matt Waters is still ranked 116th. I mean, I guess I do understand because the completely ineffective OSA still has him at 70 potential. But our scout thinks that Waters' career is pretty much done before it started. So it looks like the 24th overall pick from 2029 is definitely going to flame out. Does not look like he has anywhere near a potential major league bat at this point. He is a good, solid fielder. But we've pretty much given up on him. We're not force starting him anymore. He was 21 years old. He'll be 22 in January, and we still haven't promoted him above rookie ball. Was a bit better this year, hitting .256 in 43 at-bats, but he started just 7 games for us. Probably will play him on our A team next year, or we'll have him on our A team next year. I don't know how much he'll actually be playing. But it certainly looks like Matt Waters was a big swing and a miss for us as a first-round pick a few years ago. Kevin Canty, a guy who we promoted to AAA towards the end of the year, only 1 start before he got hurt, did strike out 8 over 5 1/3 innings, healthy now, and he is in the Arizona Fall League where he's 3-0 with a 2.70 ERA. Don't love his very questionable control, but his stuff is scintillating when it's on. Very good fastball and a potentially outstanding change to go with a good knuckle curve as well. So still think that Canty could be a interesting prospect or perhaps trade bait for us down the line. Bernie Barrera, scouting discovery from 2028, the 21-year-old went 8-4 with a 3.31 ERA and high A ball for us. Promoted him to Double A for the final month and a half or so of the season, where he was 4-2 with an ERA of just over 3. So Barrera, another guy who looks like he could be a very interesting starting prospect for us in the future. Like the durability, solid stamina. Think he can still add about a mile to his fastball, and he's only 21 years old, and he's already been reasonably successful in about a third of a season in Double A ball. A few other prospects we'll talk about. Mike Girard is still, we're hoping, our catcher of the future. Outstanding defensively. Hit 264 in high A for us this year. Promoted him to Double A, where he hit 318 and 110 at-bats. And he is playing in the Arizona Fall League right now, hitting just 235 at-bats. Still think that the question is how good his bat is going to be. If he gets up to 50 contact with 60 power with that glove, he's pretty useful. But he's not going to draw a ton of walks, and he unfortunately is also fragile in terms of his injury proneness. So don't know that he's ever going to be a Drew Romo offensively, but defensively he looks like he could be a very similar player to Drew Romo. Alistair Mitchell, fourth-round pick of ours in 2030, had some injury issues this year in a rough second professional season with an ERA over 14 in just 8 1/3 innings pitched for our ACL team. Orlando Morales, you may remember him, an IAFA signing from 2030, made his professional debut as an 18-year-old this year in the DSL, 3-0 record with a 2.43 ERA. Only allowed one home run in 59 1/3 innings pitched, but he did walk 37 batters while striking out 82, put up a 2.4 WAR. He's a guy who still has a very high ceiling if he reaches his full potential. Think he can be thrown in the mid to high 90s. Like the high leadership, adaptability, and work ethic. Still think that Morales is a very interesting prospect for us, particularly if he can improve his control. And Jordan Contreras is the last guy we will talk about. He was an IAFA signing of ours back in 2028. The bat just isn't developing as good as we would have hoped. You can see his overall potential is only a 45. Outstanding speed, competent corner outfielder. The contact and the gap power still have interesting potential. The home run power is non-existent, and we think the eye is below average. Hit 282 in 277 at-bats in high A ball, and then he did hit 329 in 146 at-bats in Double A for us. But still question with where we think his ceiling is, how useful of a major leaguer he's ultimately going to become. And after a magical playoff run, the Detroit Tigers are your 2032 World Series champions. They took out the Nationals in 5 games. So the Tigers with a very impressive 11-2 record in their wins over the White Sox, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Washington Nationals in the Divisional Series, League Championship Series, and World Series, respectively. So a really nice playoff performance from the Tigers. They had the second best record in baseball this year, although they were 24 games behind us in the standings. But the best team from the American League got the job done in the playoffs when it mattered, unlike our Rockies. And we've made it to the start of the offseason. After an incredible regular season, it was a very disappointing postseason for us, but we'll try to do better in 2033. And doing better in 2033 will be dependent on hopefully having a good off-season, which begins today. Check in on a few things at a high level now, and then we'll do our annual roster review and our initial thoughts on what we should think about doing in this off season in our next episode. We've got an option year for the injured Luke Little for $7 million, option year for Colt Keith for $10 million, and an option year for the other injured lefty reliever Drew Summers for $1.7 million. We've got a player who's retiring, Sandy Alcantara. Really didn't even mention him. We signed him to a minor league deal before this season. With the last injury we had at the end of this year, he came up and made what would be his final professional appearance very late in the season for us in his one game in the majors this year. So Alcantara's career is now over. Our scouting director has also decided to retire, so poor timing for Michael Hill to leave, but we'll see if we can get somebody good on board relatively soon. Review of the season goals with Mr. Monfort. Happy that we were able to go back to the playoffs. Pleased with what Dean West did. Unhappy that we haven't acquired a hometown player. We finally made some progress with fan interest, even though, as I talked about at the start of this episode, still doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense to me. Definitely need to do more with international players. We made the playoffs. He's got a long-term vision for another title by 2036, so we've still got time to do that. Happy with our performance in accomplishing goals. Very happy with our overall performance. So as we think about the future, Monfort wants us to win a championship, acquire a hometown player, continue increasing fan interest, improve our international amateur fines, and bring home another championship over the next 5 years. The big question is, what's our budget going to be to do that? We had gotten boosted to $250 million this past season, and it's a little bit higher next year, up to $256 million. So can't complain about that. At least it's moving in the right direction. Arbitration is underway. Development facilities are open. We've got a fair number of personnel other than our scout who retired that we're going to need to replace. So we'll be spending some time offline between this episode and the next one thinking about those kind of things. Wondering if we still have the pathetic fan loyalty, and yes, we are still pathetic. I guess, we would have gotten an email if that improved. So again, we've made the playoffs 7 consecutive years at this point, but the fans are not loyal to us. That disastrous 2025 season and the long track record of futility that the Rockies had for close to a decade before then apparently has really turned off the fans in Colorado, and we've still got to do better than 7 consecutive playoff appearances to convince them that we're worth investing their time in. And we are ultimately going to need to look to probably cut some payroll. You can see $5 million available for next year, but that's with the 11th biggest player payroll in baseball. So both scouting and player development potentially taking big hits. We'll talk through a lot of our decisions next episode, but certainly between Colt Keith and his team option, Luke Little and his team option, Marcelo Meyer, arbitration eligible. Cole Carrig is popular, but arbitration eligible at $6 million, given that he's been primarily a AAA player for us the last couple seasons, despite his popularity. I think it's going to be hard to justify paying him $6 million next year. Certainly we'll be looking to bring Dylan Jordan back. Isaiah Shader probably will be back as well. Justin Gibson at $2.9 million certainly will be back. Dean West starting to make more than the minimum, so some decisions to make there, but we'll do more detailed review of all of our options and where we think the strengths and weaknesses of this team are, and perhaps some areas where we'll be able to save some money and hopefully improve this team for the future. But not going to be as happy an off season as the last one because unfortunately we weren't as successful this year despite the 116 wins. Got knocked out in 4 games by the Dodgers, and got to try to do better in 2033. And we'll start talking through our plan to hopefully do so the next time around. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.